Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Rachel Rodine. I am ESCA's Director of Education and Events. And thank you for joining us for our third Leadership Lab powered by ESCA's Rising Leaders Committee. So today I'm joined by Jason Eisenhut, the Vice President of Human Resources at Employco USA, and Griffen Wilson, the Vice President at Employco USA. And I'm going to let them get started. They're going to share on how to navigate the top four current HR challenges. So, Jason and Griffin, thank you so much for joining us, and I will let you get started with your presentation.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks everyone for joining us for our latest Leadership Lab webinar, like Rachel had mentioned. Jason and I will be covering the top four current challenges in the workplace across the country. And kind of before I throw it over to Jason, I kind of want to set the stage for why today's conversation is so important. The HR landscape, sometimes it's an afterthought, but it's dramatically changed over the last few years, especially in our industry, between evolving workforce expectations, multi-state compliance, significant healthcare increases, especially this year, and then now the rapid rise of HR in the workplace. These pressures are hitting organizations of every size, from 5, 10 employers to thousands, and they're only going to be accelerating as we head into 2026. And so Jason and I are going to walk through some key trends we're seeing across the country and a number of top risks employers need to be aware of. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to just throw them in the chat, and then Jason and I will address them once we're done. With that said, Jason, I'll throw it over to you.
Thanks, Griffin, and hi, everyone. As they mentioned, I'm Jason Eisenhut. I work in the HR department in Employco USA. And in case you're not familiar with what we do, since we provide HR and payroll and workers' compensation for companies across the country, we hear a lot from our clients about some of the challenges they're facing in HR and payroll. And so we thought that'd be a good idea today to talk about challenges and some best practices and tips and how to address some of those challenges. So throughout the presentation, we'll cover those best practices, the tips. I have a couple fun quiz questions scattered throughout the presentation. I think also in the middle, Griffin had offered, I think there's a promotion. Griffin offered an all expense paid trip for him to visit your house to do a 21 course meal, right, Griffin, for 100 people?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yep. So we'll have a coupon code in the middle. If you try write that down, Griffin offered to visit your house. And at the end, like Griffin said, we'll open it up for questions. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so let's get started. So one of the first topics we're going to touch on is employee attraction and retention best practices. So the recruiting side is where we'll start first. Okay, so we have recommendations for if you're recruiting for an on-site, in-person employee versus remote or hybrid employees. On the on-site side, it's a great idea to focus on the company branding and culture. So assuming you're a company, you feel good about your culture, your branding, put that in the job ad, in any messages. If you're doing LinkedIn messages or Indeed messages to the candidates, in the interviews, really highlight your company culture and your brand. What we're finding some of our clients are really doing a good job on is recording a message from the CEO, a quick video, maybe it's 1 to 3 minutes of the CEO or other leaders within your company talking about what they feel the company's about, what's their culture, why employees they feel good about working for the company. And then especially younger generations, younger workforce really thrive and really love seeing those videos, and it kind of brings them closer and they think about the culture and the best ways to that they can improve the company and help with the company after they join your organization. Second, promote your ability to accommodate employee needs. So if you're hiring an on-site employee, one of the things people worry about, okay, is if something comes up, can I have a work from home day? I mean, I personally like work coming into the office every day. It builds camaraderie, bonding, it's good teamwork. But if you do have an employee who does need an occasional work from home day, promote that. So like, let's say if you have the ability to say, okay, if an employee comes to a manager and says, okay, can I have Friday work from home day because I got a parent teacher conference at 5 o'clock. I can't get home in time. It's really close to my home, or I've got a dentist appointment during my lunch hour and that's close to home. Of course, work from home that day. So if it's an occasional one, highlight that during your interview process with the candidates. On the remote side, so if you're hiring an employee that will be completely off-site or remote or even hybrid, look for the common skills found in success. So usually these are like great communication skills, collaboration, task management. So if you're finding those skills and traits work well already for your remote employees, look for that in new candidates and applicants. And then in terms of examining the aspects of your company that appeal to remote workers, one thing we're finding some of our clients and even we do is once a month, once a quarter, some of the companies have a live Zoom call almost like this, where the CEO is giving a conversation like a State of the Union to their employees. And the remote employees really still feel connected. They can see the CEO, although they're not in person. They see the executives or the leaders or managers. They hear their voice. They see their mannerisms, and it's a great way to incorporate those remote employees into the organization. In terms of on-site and remote, we're seeing for both types of employees, we're seeing companies do a great job of recruiting. If you're having difficulty finding someone, look at retirees. They're a great source of applicants and candidates across the country. A lot of our clients are doing a good job of focusing more on skills over the education. So although someone maybe historically wanted a bachelor's degree, master's degree in a certain job, now companies are focusing more on the skills and the personalities rather than some of that education to find a good worker. And finally, employee referral bonuses are a great source of great candidates. So typically in the past, it's maybe $500 you give an existing employee. If they refer someone who gets hired after 90 days, that existing employee gets $500. That referral bonus has been creeping up. I think the average is around $2,500 now. So usually the bottom is around 1,000 up to 5,000. The average is maybe 2,500 that organizations are giving as a bonus to their existing employees to refer candidates over to them if they get hired and stay on with the organization after 90 days. Okay. In terms of where employees are working, so we just talked about recruiting on-site versus remote employees. It's kind of stabled off over the last few years since 2022. Gallup does a really nice survey of employees who have jobs that could be remote. So like someone who's in manufacturing wouldn't be part of the study at all. But an office employee like me, I might be part of this data. I didn't get surveyed, but someone like me could be. So 51% of employees who have a job that could be remote are hybrid today. 28% of those employees are exclusively remote and 21% are on-site fully, exclusively on-site or in person in the office. For the employees who are hybrid, that 51%, the average number of days that the employee is spending in the office right now is 2.3 days per week. What we're going to probably see over the next year is there's going to be a little bit of a shift of return to work, return to the office, but I think it's going to be more on that hybrid side. So that 51%, it still might stay around 51% hybrid, but I think we're going to see more employees, more employers lessening the number of work from home days and increasing the in-person days. So maybe if a company's offering 3 work from home days a week or 4, that might go down to 2 or 3, shifting more of it in person. Okay. Unfortunately, we had some bad news from Gallup. It's a survey that I think it's going to be good for us to use, but it's bad in terms of the overall satisfaction among U.S. employees is down. It's one of the lowest it's been. We're hovering around that lowest point since before 2007. So only 19% of employees are extremely satisfied with their company as a place to work. So that we're hovering around a really low bottom level in terms of employee satisfaction within their workplace. So as we think about that 19%, only 19%, the overwhelming majorities are not that satisfied working for their company. That probably tells us that there was going to be a lot of employees who are looking to leave their jobs or leave their companies. So before I move to the next slide, quick quiz question, just think about it. You don't have to chat it or anything. What percentage of workers do you think are actively looking for a new job? They're looking to leave their company. They're open to a new job. So as you think about it, if you think about your coworkers or people within your organization, if you look around your cube area, your office area, or if you're remote, what percentage of your coworkers do you think are open to leaving your organization or maybe actively looking?
So, Jason, I don't know the answer. Is it, I'd say, if I had to guess, I would say 35% maybe.
Yeah, good guess. The answer is actually a little bit more scary. It's 52%. So half of employees are actively looking for a new job. So if you look around coworker to coworker, if you got people, if you're in office and you're like, wow, my coworker to my left may not be here in a year and my coworker to my right might be. So yeah, half of the employees are currently looking for a new job. And why they're looking for a new job or what attributes they're looking for. here are the top 5 or here are the top, is it 10 or 12? I can't remember, but the top 4 really separate themselves. And then there's a drop in kind of before the fifth factor for why employees are looking. So that top 4 are really kind of bunched together. So 59% of employees are looking for a new job that would provide them greater work-life balance and better personal well-being. Then it goes down. So 48% find it very important to allow a new job or have a new job that would allow them to do what they do best. And then other factors like a bad manager and autonomy, those are still important, but those top ones which we highlighted in green are kind of the key ones to keep in mind.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And so, I mean, although it's good ammo, it helps us as companies, as managers, as coworkers. And then here's kind of the good news. So we do have ways that we can improve employee retention, improve the likelihood that we'll be able to keep our coworkers or our employees from staying or from leaving the company. The first one is maintaining open communications. So managers should be ideally meeting with their direct reports on a regular basis through either formal and informal sessions. So some of the formal ones could be reviewing job performance and metrics and things like that. Some of the informal ones could be, hey, how's everything going? Are you facing any roadblocks? What's bothering you? Have any issues at work? So those formal and informal meetings with employees should be two-way communication. I, as a manager, should be talking to my employees about what I'm seeing, and then I'm also asking them questions. I'm like, how's everything going? Is anything frustrating? What can I do to improve your situation here at work? One of the best, and it's not free, but it's not all that expensive, is an employee engagement survey. So we provide these no cost to our clients, but in case you're not already working with an HR or payroll company that provides it, a great solution is like SurveyMonkey. They have a list of questions that are already established, and they have benchmarks. So you can use their standard, I think there's like 35 or 40 questions, like, I feel like my leadership and management team does a good job communicating with me. I feel like I have the tools and equipment to do my job. I feel like my healthcare benefits are good. Strongly agree to strongly disagree. That provides you with, as a company, with good information to improve your employee engagement experience. And hopefully you click that button to make it anonymous and you announce it to your employees that it truly is anonymous. We want your feedback and we won't know how any one person has responded. And then the second one there, provide learning, development opportunity, growth opportunities. So even if, let's say you're a small company, you don't have this career path like a Google, employees are still looking for these opportunities for learn, to develop and grow within their own role, with their own position. So although someone might be not looking for promotion or a lateral job change, highlighting these initiatives to existing employees and also to maybe job candidates that you as a company are putting forth the effort to have employees learn and grow within their current position is a great way to improve some of those odds that you're going to keep and attract new employees. In terms of total compensation package, this is base pay, it's bonus, it's healthcare, it's retirement. So at least on an annual basis, companies should be taking a look at, okay, are we paying our receptionist? Are we paying our accounting manager the right amount? And a free source is salary.com. Go out to salary.com, put in accounting manager, Chicago, Illinois. They'll give you the salary range and what kind of that is for your geographic area. And same thing with like healthcare benefits. How much is your company contributing towards medical plan or the 401k plan or pension? Take a look at that and make sure your company is competitive, because you might be losing people and it might be a good way to be proactive and address some of these before it's too late. And finally, recognize achievements. So as employees are doing a good job, either they're consistently a strong performer or they did a great job on a project, take time to recognize that employee. And the great companies do a good job of customizing the recognition. So some people don't like getting in front and getting a trophy. They're shy or they don't want some of this attention. So the great companies do a good job of customizing the achievement or the recognition for the person and what kind of they think would be the best.
One thing that we do with our company, as well as many of our clients, is we do employee engagement surveys. And so we take all of these 4 topics right here, and it turns out to be 25, maybe 30 questions. Some are open-ended, some are bullet point. but Jason sends it out and it's all anonymous. And then it comes back to our leadership team and we can't see any of the anybody that answered it, but we can benchmark every year of, okay, people feel that they have the ability and comfortable enough to speak to the managers. Okay, this rose 3-4% over last year. Or if there was something people don't feel like they're being compensated enough and that dropped by 12 or 13%, that could be a red flag to discuss with whether it's your CEO, CFO, whomever, or your board meeting to kind of discuss certain things. And what we've done in ours is we'll offer a number of open-ended questions on how we can currently improve our company, any challenges that employees currently see, and then also any suggestions, and then what they like about our organization. And we've implemented a number of things that have come from it because it's completely anonymous and it gives insight to our leadership team of how everyone's feeling, their temperature, and so on and so forth. And Jason added a suggestion box because a lot of times people don't feel comfortable enough to speak freely. And so in our lunchroom, we have a box that only Jason has a key to, where people are able to put suggestions in. And there's a lot of it that we've implemented because of our employee engagement survey. So those are just a number of things that we'd highly recommend utilizing.
Thanks, Griffen. Great points. Okay, we'll move on to some legal compliance within HR. We've kind of summarized the top 5 employment law compliance issues most organizations, or we're kind of seeing, are common themes throughout the country. The first is independent contractor or W-2 employee. So this is a designation or a decision that employers need to make when they're hiring workers. And the Department of Labor, because there's an administration change from Biden to Trump, every time there's administration, there's a slight shift in how the Department of Labor views certain rules. And right now they're going through and reconsidering the rule from March 2024. But in a high level summary, we're still kind of in the same place where the government would require the company to consider the worker a W-2 employee. The more the company controls the person's work, their hours, provides tools and equipment, the length of the assignment. So if it's an indefinite assignment for the work, it's probably leaning towards W-2 employee. On the other side, employees or workers could be considered independent contractors if the company isn't controlling their hours, it's not key integral part of the business, if it's just a short-term project. The government prefers obviously more workers to be W-2 employees because of taxes and job protections like unemployment, workers' compensation. But so just keep an eye on be careful with independent contractor designations because could come back to haunt you if you make it the wrong decision and then there's back pay and taxes and penalties and fees. Okay, pay transparency. This refers to state laws because there's no federal law. State laws that require employers to disclose compensation information it's primarily to job applicants. So if I'm hiring an account executive position on Indeed or LinkedIn, I am required, at least in Illinois, to post the reasonable pay range for that person. Or let's say I'm hiring an accounting manager and we're looking to pay someone $90,000 to $110,000, accounting manager in the Chicago area. We need to put that in the job application. And if someone internally is interested, we need to provide that to the person too. So just kind of a warning there. If you're not located in any of these states, maybe you're in Texas and want to hire someone who's remote, and you're open to hiring a remote Colorado employee or California employee who's based out of their home in one of those states, you still need to disclose that reasonable pay range in the job ad because the worker is based out of one of those states where it could apply. The Form I-9, in case you don't know, this is the paperwork that new hires complete, typically on their first day or first couple days, where there's a section for the employee to complete, a section for the company to complete, that would substantiate or verify that new hire is eligible to work in the United States. So typically the employee hands their HR person or the manager a driver's license or passport, something like that. The manager takes some information down on the section 2 of the I-9. But there was a new form released in April 2025. So make sure you're using that correct one. The version, you'll see the expiration date in the corner. You'll be able to tell if you're using the current version of the Form I-9. Harassment training, a number of states, again, including our home state of Illinois, does require employers in that state provide sexual harassment prevention training. So some of the states like California says it's every other year. Some states require the harassment training every year. So it really depends. And again, if you have remote employees in one of these states, it's probably a best practice just to do sexual harassment prevention training for your entire workforce. But it would be required if you have employees in one of these states. Then finally, non-competition or non-compete agreements. This is an agreement that typically a new hire would sign with their company to say, I understand, Jason Eisenhut, that I can't, if I ever leave Employco, I can't go to work for a competitor. I can't go to work for ADP or Insperity. Not that I'm planning to, I'm planning to retire here. But the non-competes are really falling out of favor with a lot of the states and courts because it's very restrictive. So what we're seeing is more and more companies not do non-compete agreements. So we're okay if you, Jason, go to work for ADP, you just can't take our client list or our company secrets or confidential information with you. So that's kind of where we're seeing the future of former employees. Okay, on the benefit plan front, the biggest challenge we're seeing companies across the country face is within the medical plan soaring premiums. So a lot of companies have January 1st annual open enrollment effective dates. We do internally with our big medical plan. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of data across the country for nationwide premium increases that are higher than it's been in many, many years. So PwC is showing the average increase in premiums going up 8.5%. Business Group on Health, 9%, IFEBP, 10%, Kaiser Family Foundation, 11%. So these are higher than it's ever been, just unsustainable. Unfortunately, not only companies, but employees probably are going to see higher premiums and payroll deductions next year that are just out of control. And here in our home state, we've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. The average increase for small companies is 13.5% and 25% for mid and large size companies. Okay, what's driving that? One of the big factors is GLP-1. So in case you're not familiar, this is a prescription like Ozempic. Originally, these were designed for type 2 diabetes, and now they're being widely used for weight loss. Most organizations' benefit plans don't cover. I think it's 25% of companies across the country do cover GLP-1s for weight loss only. Like all the companies typically cover for type 2 diabetes, but if an employee or patient or family member is looking for it to cover weight loss only, most organizations are not covering it, but the 25% that are covering it as part of their medical plan are typically the large employers. Within the last couple of weeks, President Trump did sign legislation that he struck a deal with Eli Lilly and a couple of the other drug makers to lower the price of some of these GLP-1s. Now, there's going to be some shift whether or not people need to go to Trump RX, the kind of the discount program, or it can go direct to the drug manufacturer. But typically these prices, let's say they hover around $1,000 a month for a prescription. Now they might get down to $50 to $300 a month. So we're probably going to see these drop in price pretty quickly. And today, I think it was like over 12% of Americans are on GLP-1s for weight loss. So I think we're going to keep seeing the usage increase, but I think the price will come down. On the specialty medications, these are typically injectables or infusions for, most of the time it's for cancer patients. So these are really high cost medications. And I think it's 80% of all FDA approved new medications in 2025 are for specialty. So there's really been a big concentration of specialty medications recently. The same thing for chronic health conditions. So people with diabetes or cancer, there is a big increase in the cost for covering those conditions and kind of the medications and care that goes along with it. Aging population. So as you can guess, Americans were living longer. So the average age is creeping up. And then also fewer people are having less number of children. The birth rate is dropping. So as we're bringing less and less children into the country and the country's getting older, that average age across the medical plans is increasing. And despite what my kids would say, I'm not an aging population yet. I tried last week to say something about 6'7". I think I blew it. I had like an air juggle while I was saying 6767, and my kids just about killed me. But so I won't say that ever again. And then cancer care. So unfortunately, people, as you can imagine, cancer care comes with a lot of cost and high cost treatments and medications. Those are also big drivers of the increases. And there's just a shortage of healthcare labor. So the doctors and nurses out there and the care coordinators, there just aren't enough people. Also, the supply and demand is there. So that's also increasing the cost of driving the healthcare increases. Okay, employee use of artificial intelligence. So although probably most of us think of applications like ChatGPT, which is great. I use it occasionally. Actually, I think this slide was built by ChatGPT. I put in, I can't remember the prompts, but
You didn't want to put yourself on there?
no, he has hair, so that's probably a little bit better. I think they did a pretty good job. That middle robot doesn't have a computer monitor, but oh well. I think he just knows what he's talking about. But ChatGPT and AI is great. It provides a lot of great tools and equipment and analysis for companies. Either people are on their own or using it, or maybe there's company-sponsored software and equipment. It's a great way to analyze data and provide recommendations. They provide a great way to possibly improve either processes or timeliness or efficiency of departments like customer support, sales, marketing, recruitment, and I'll touch on recruitment in a second, and software development. But there are some possible disadvantages. The analysis and recommendations may not be accurate or secure. We had a client tell us a few weeks ago that one of their employees put some customer data in ChatGPT and said, hey, please provide an analysis of our customer data and provide me a recommendation on the best way to make improvements. And then they've got some kind of ransom Bitcoin that it was hacked and unsecure. So unfortunately, you got to be really mindful, and I'm sure these are IT departments, that the data really needs to be secure and which systems employees are using. And then analysis and recommendations may be discriminatory. So one of the things that is really being pushed and looked at, actually, President Trump just announced something within the last 24 hours that there might be a nationwide they might prohibit states from passing their own laws related to artificial intelligence. So right now, Illinois, for example, has a new law that's coming up January 1st that AI cannot be used in recruitment unless you notify the applicant. So if we were to dump all resumes and applications into an AI platform and say, please provide me the top 10, here are my rules and recommendations, as an Illinois employer starting January 1st, we need to provide notice to the candidates and applicants that we're doing it. But then also, not only that, but we need to make sure the platform isn't discriminatory. So it's not discriminating either through the logic or our inputs against women or people of color, or people with disabilities. So we need to kind of employers really need to keep in mind that there could be some discriminatory practices, either intentional or unintentional, and they could be held liable. So what can we do as employers or as companies? Here are the top 3 best practices for artificial intelligence for use in the workplace. Start out by reviewing your company-sponsored AI system. So do you have any platforms or software systems that are used company-wide to do data analysis or to do help with customer service? That's a great way to start and also ensure legal compliance. So if you're using AI to recruit employees and weed out the resumes, talk to that recruiter, that AI platform vendor, to make sure that the logic and the programming and algorithms are there to not be discriminatory. And then create a company policy. So typically the policies include that the employees should not upload or share confidential information. It should limit access just to company personnel that are authorized without prior approval. So that you could go to ChatGPT and say, create an artificial intelligence policy for my company and my employees. I'm half kidding, but it might be a good start, but then you can tweak it or talk to an HR person like us, and we can help you make sure that it's fine-tuned. And then finally, train employees on that company policy and process. So once you've come up and come with the rules that you as a company have come up with to say, okay, if we have employees, we need to tell employees, do not put customer data into ChatGPT. If you're going to be putting something in, get your manager approval in advance. So train the employees after you've come up with this policy on the best ways. So this could be in-person training, it could be Zoom calls, or just a company-wide email, but really stress the importance of it because there could be some disadvantages. And with that said, I think we are at the end We always kind of love to stay high level, and then we love to keep a lot of time at the end for questions and answers. So, Griffin, did we get any questions through the chat?
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, we received a number of them. So back on the benefits topic, with the GLP-1 drugs that are like Ozempic and other ones that are continuing to rise, do companies have the ability to adjust their medical plans to either include GLP-1s or have the ability to exclude it?
Oh, good
Say
question.
they're, not to discriminate, but say their employee base is extremely healthy and they don't want to provide it because they know it could increase the cost. Any tips around that?
Okay, so not to get too technical and geeky in the weeds here, but if you're a small employer and you have under 50 employees and have what's called a fully insured medical plan, and your insurance agent can tell you if you have that, you cannot decide. And most of those exclude GLP-1s for weight loss only already. So you can't decide, you can't include it. It's probably already excluded for weight loss only. So you really can't decide. It's the large organizations that probably have either a hybrid plan or self-insured or can design some of the coverage on their own that could make that decision.
Okay. Um, for harassment training, say you have a few employees in California and Illinois, which it's mandatory. Um, how do you implement mandatory harassment training across multiple states
Another
and
good
for the
question.
states that it's not mandatory in?
Yeah, so although some states require the training to be interactive, so California is one of those states. So if you have employees in California, the sexual harassment training needs to be interactive, but it doesn't need to be live. So you don't have to have an in-person trainer there in person or it doesn't even need to be Zoom like this. There are some training platforms that will ask the participant, the learner, I don't know, 3 slides in saying, hey, what again is quid pro quo or hostile work environment? And the person answered like, let's say they answered B and it should have been a C. I can see why I answered that, but the correct answer is, so it needs to be
Mhm.
interactive, but it can be through kind of on-demand platforms, through learning management systems. It doesn't have to be live.
Okay. Back to the healthcare. What strategies have you used in past years to offset rising healthcare costs, and how well did that work? Are companies offering lesser plans or less rich plans because of the cost, or are they just not offering it at all?
Okay, a little bit of a combination. So if one of the things companies can do, we've found success in our kind of our multi-client big medical plan through healthcare is we send communication out to, sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's home mailings, highlighting the ability for employees. We had this communication campaign not too long ago for employees, reminding employees and their family members to use preventive care. So the earlier they can get in, and it's free. So if you go to an in-person doctor for your routine physical, well woman exam, immunizations, that should be free, no cost to you as long as you're using an in-network provider. And then you catch stuff early. You make, instead of stage 2 or stage 3, you might catch something in stage 1. So getting those routine preventive care visits are a great way. We've kind of kept our healthcare plan costs down. But then, yeah, some organizations do. Like, okay, if we can't afford the $1,000 deductible PPO anymore as a company, we might increase that to $1,500 or a $20 copay per visit to $40. So we're kind of seeing a little bit of a combination of both.
Okay. So in our industry, we have headquarters in Chicago, but we have satellite offices in Denver, LA, and Orlando. When it comes to handling the I-9 process for remote employees that are, say, in other states that we don't have shows on, uh, are companies required to look at the new hire's driver's license or passport, or how do they have to submit it, or how does that work for remote employees that aren't on job site for them, especially in
Okay.
our industry?
Okay. So right now, the law only allows employers to do the Section 2. So if you don't have the long-standing rule was, I as an employer, if I hire someone within 3 days, I need to be physically looking and holding at their driver's license or their passport, their birth certificate. I need to be physically looking. I have Griffin's driver's license. I just hired Griffen. We're together in the same room. I'm looking at the picture, comparing that, and that's still mainly the practice today. But if a company uses E-Verify, which that's kind of an electronic verification through the government system that Jason Eisenhut, his social matches his name and the picture if he uses a passport. That you don't have to be in person. You could do that virtually. So if I'm a company who uses E-Verify today and I hire someone in Iowa and we don't have any employees to physically look at the person's driver's license, I could have the person email me their driver's license or their passport or whatever, and then we can do it virtually. If you don't have E-Verify and you have a remote employee and no one's in that area, we don't have anyone in Iowa to physically look at the person's driver's license, it doesn't technically have to be someone within your organization. You can name any authorized representative that you'd like. So if you as a company feel good that you want to name the person's roommate or their spouse, or if you want to hire a notary in the area, you could have anybody who you feel is authorized and you feel comfortable with that would do the Section 2 of the I-9.
Okay. Sticking with the hybrid work here, hybrid work remains highly desired. Especially with people moving to different cities and different states for other spousal jobs or whatnot. How are you balancing employee flexibility with operational needs?
Yeah, really good question. So it depends on the organization, obviously. So if there is an existing employee who has been on site, and let's say an organization prefers on site, if they've built up I think the manager probably is the best person to know this because they know their direct reports, work habits, their ability to be remote. It's a good way to keep a good employee if they need to be hybrid or remote. But then obviously the managers, if they've never had a hybrid or remote employee, they probably should go through training. So the organization would be kind of in their best interest to provide manager training on how best to supervise or work with hybrid or remote employees. I've seen it work well. So it really kind of depends on the organization and the culture.
Okay. What are some low-cost retention initiatives, besides compensation that are making the biggest impact today?
So I really find these scheduled manager and employee meetings the most beneficial. That goes the furthest without, and there's no cost to that. Like having the manager have two-way conversation with their employees to, hey, what's going well, what's not going well, is there anything I can do or the company can do to improve? So that's a great way. Another great way is, although companies have done this historically, is an anniversary bonus. So if a company, for example, we provide anniversary bonuses to our employees based on 1 year of service, 3 years, 5 years, and then after that's the big milestones like 10, 15, 20. And we put a fairly good sized dollar amount with that. Some organizations say, well, we're going to provide you with a polo shirt, an Employco polo shirt, and it's fine. It's better than nothing. But I think a dollar amount per year of service is kind of the best way to go. Sometimes if an employee was on the fence, I need to stay until my anniversary bonus, then maybe they stay past that. But it's also a good way to show them that we appreciate you and your tenure here, even if the person wasn't looking.
One last question. What are candidates prioritizing in 2026 that companies aren't adapting to fast enough?
You say that again? What are candidates looking for?
What are candidates prioritizing in 2026 that companies aren't adapting to fast enough? Especially with in the trade show industry, you have a big age gap, and a lot of younger individuals want to work from home, that are qualified, but then also in our industry is, travel is required, going to show sites. So what do you think candidates are putting first, that, that employers aren't adapting to?
I think some of the ones you mentioned, Griffin, are really good, but then also kind of the social, especially younger generations, they want to know, how am I going to be contributing to the organization? And some of the social, like what is my company doing socially to improve the industry, to improve the environment? Do we have volunteer days? I think there's some of these kind of interpersonal social type personality qualities that companies are still missing today, that younger generations especially, but probably could be any generation, that are really focusing on, that are kind of underseen or underutilized as we're kind of going through everything today.
Obviously, outside of the water cooler talk you're talking.
Right.
Okay. That's all the questions that was about 10 or so questions that we received. So thank you everyone for participating. Really appreciate it. Any last words from Jason before we throw it over to Rachel for closing comments?
Yeah, we have, hopefully you can see our contact information. So Griffin and I, we love to help. So feel free to reach out to us, email or phone, and we'd love to hear from you if you have any questions. And hope you have a great winter season, holiday season.
Well, thank you both so much. I certainly learned a lot about HR and what's going on right now in the industry that I did not know before I tuned into this presentation. So we really appreciate it. For everybody that is watching, thank you for joining. We will have a post-webinar recap going out shortly, with some key learning takeaways that you should have learned by the end of this session. And we are actually taking a break on our Leadership Lab series for December, but you can catch us back in the new year with a new and fresh Leadership Lab presented by ESCA's Rising Leaders Committee in January. So like Jason said, everybody have a wonderful winter holiday season, and we are looking forward to catching back up with you in January. So thank you once again, Griffin and Jason.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rachel. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.